Hey everyone, have you ever wondered who takes charge after someone dies? Who gathers their assets, pays off their debts, and distributes what's left to the family? The person with that responsibility is called an executor under a will. But what happens when there are two executors named in the will jointly? In simple terms, joint executors are two or more people appointed in a will to manage the deceased's estate together. They have to act jointly, which means unless the will says otherwise, they must agree on every decision and sign every document together. This idea actually comes from English common law, which forms the basis of Singapore's legal system. The rationale behind appointing joint executors goes back centuries. The belief that having more than one executor under a will reduces the risk of fraud, errors, or abuse, especially when large estates or family disputes are involved. Some people feel that by appointing joint executors, for example, both of their children, they are encouraging family cooperation. Others think that it's a form of checks and balances, especially when family dynamics are complicated. But of course, it's not always smooth sailing. Let's talk about the disadvantages of having joint executors under a will. When executors are required to act jointly, every single decision, from selling a property to withdrawing money from the estate account, must be done with the consent and action of both executors. If one delays, disagrees, or simply disappears, the entire estate administration can grind to a halt. In legal terms, it's called deadlock. Let me elaborate. First, delay. If one executor is overseas or uncontactable, nothing moves. Second, disagreement. If joint executors cannot agree on what to do, the estate administration can stall or even end up in court. Third, renunciation complications. If one executor wants to step down but hasn't done so properly according to the family justice rules, the court may refuse to grant probate until things are sorted out. Let me share with you three examples that will help you understand why people choose joint executors and what could go wrong. First example, Mr. Tan had 3 children. He was worried that they will fight over his estate, so he named his 2 eldest children as joint executors. He hoped they would keep each other in check, but after his death, they couldn't even agree on which law firm to engage. The estate was worth millions, but probate was delayed for more than a year due to their arguments and disagreements. Mr. Tan's intentions were noble, but his plan backfired. Second example, Madam Leong owned a family business. In her will, she appointed her daughter, who ran the business, and her lawyer friend as joint executors, hoping to mix personal insight with professional oversight. On paper, it was brilliant. But when her daughter tried to sell company assets urgently to settle debts, the lawyer wanted more time for valuation. That delay nearly caused the business to default on loans. Last example, the missing executor. Mr. Lim appointed his 2 sons as joint executors under his will. One lived in Singapore, the other had migrated to Canada and rarely responded to emails. The Singapore-based son couldn't proceed with applying for probate until the brother in Canada renounced his role. But under the family justice rules, renunciation must be done formally. The estate was stuck until the Canadian son finally cooperated months later. So what's the takeaway? Appointing joint executors can seem like a wise move, promoting fairness, oversight, and shared responsibility. But in reality, it often introduces delays, deadlock, and emotional strain. The law assumes joint executors will act in harmony. But as we all know, even the closest of siblings can fall out, especially when money and grief are involved. If you are drafting a will, think carefully. Are joint executors truly necessary? Could you appoint one trusted person with a backup executor if needed. Wills are about leaving peace behind, not legal battles. If you need help drafting a thoughtful will or understanding the roles of executors or joint executors, speak to a lawyer who understands not just the law, but also family dynamics. Thanks for joining me in today's video. I'll see you in the next one.